Hello guys! Welcome to another English listening practice video. Today, we will travel back in time to explore the incredible story of Christopher Columbus. Listen carefully to improve your vocabulary and train your brain to think in English. Long before massive steel ships crossed the oceans, the world felt incredibly small, dark, and full of terrifying mysteries. Most ordinary people lived their entire lives inside the exact same village where they were born, never seeing the horizon. They looked out at the deep blue sea and imagined monstrous creatures waiting to destroy anyone who sailed too far. Maps were filled with large blank spaces, and the vast Atlantic Ocean was known simply as the Sea of Darkness. In the busy, loud port city of Genoa, Italy, a young boy named Christopher Columbus looked at the water differently. Born in the autumn of 1451, he was the eldest son of a humble, hard-working wool weaver. His father expected him to stay in the family shop, working with threads and fabrics for the rest of his life. But Christopher's mind was constantly drawn away from the dark shop floor by the salty breeze coming from the docks. He spent every single moment of his spare time listening to the wild, incredible stories of returning sailors. He watched the grand wooden ships arrive from distant lands, carrying exotic spices, unusual maps, and strange treasures. Even though he did not possess wealth, a noble title, or formal education, an ambitious fire began to burn inside him. He realized that his ultimate destiny was not to weave clothes, but to weave a completely new path across the world. For any language learner, this opening chapter of his life carries a deeply inspiring and powerful modern lesson. Great transformations never begin because you have the perfect background, ultimate wealth, or massive resources. They begin because you possess a restless curiosity and the absolute courage to dream beyond your current surroundings. Your present environment might feel small or limiting, but your mind has the capability to travel anywhere. By the time he turned 14, Columbus finally left the weaver's shop and stepped onto his very first merchant ship. He learned the difficult, exhausting language of the sea, studying the stars, the winds, and the patterns of the waves. He taught himself how to read Latin, draw detailed geographical charts, and calculate long distances using basic tools. He was quietly laying the foundation for a grand vision that would eventually challenge the brightest minds of his era. During the late 15th century, European merchants faced a massive, dangerous crisis regarding international trade. The highly valuable land routes to Asia, which supplied precious silks and life-saving spices, were completely blocked by hostile forces. Every nation was desperately searching for a brand new path to the rich markets of India and China. Most experts believed the only logical solution was to sail entirely around the massive, unknown continent of Africa. But Christopher Columbus looked at the world maps with a highly unique and completely radical perspective. He spent years intensely studying ancient texts, scientific charts, and the brave journals of past global explorers. He developed a bold theory. Since the Earth is a perfect sphere, one could simply sail directly west to reach the east. To the established scientists of his era, this idea sounded like absolute madness and a guaranteed path to a watery grave. The official experts did not disagree with Columbus about the round shape of the planet itself. They disagreed completely on the mathematical distance, arguing that the Atlantic Ocean was far too vast to survive. They believed that any crew attempting to cross it would inevitably run out of fresh water and starve to death. But Columbus possessed an unshakable faith in his own calculations and refused to let their doubts crush his ambition. For an intermediate English learner, this specific phase of his journey offers a highly profound intellectual lesson. When you try to accomplish something major, the established voices around you will often tell you it is completely impossible. They will point out your lack of experience, the difficulty of the rules, and the high probability of total failure. But true growth requires you to trust your own preparation and maintain a steady vision when others see only darkness. Columbus knew that to turn his grand mathematical vision into physical reality, he needed massive financial backing. He needed heavy wooden ships, a disciplined crew, and months of premium food supplies to survive the deep ocean. This meant he had to step out of his comfort zone and learn the elegant, persuasive language of royal courts. He packed up his detailed maps, traveled straight to Portugal, and prepared to pitch his radical dream to the king. When Columbus stood before King John II of Portugal, he spoke with absolute passion and profound certainty. He unrolled his hand-drawn maps and explained his brilliant plan to sail directly west into the unknown ocean. The king listened quietly, but ultimately handed the maps over to his elite royal committee of scientific experts. These traditional scholars thoroughly reviewed the plans and quickly rejected them, calling Columbus a foolish dreamer. Devastated but completely unbroken, Columbus packed his belongings and traveled to the powerful kingdom of Spain. There, he managed to secure a royal audience with the famous Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand. The monarchs were deeply intrigued by his ambition, but their country was locked in a long, expensive war. They told Columbus to wait, appointing a special committee to study his radical ideas over the following years. For nearly 6 agonizing years, Columbus lived in a state of absolute poverty and constant, painful uncertainty. He followed the royal court from city to city, practically begging for financial support while facing endless public mockery. People laughed at him in the streets, pointing at their heads to indicate that the poor Italian sailor had lost his mind. His shoes wore out. His clothes became ragged, but the bright fire of his internal vision never lost its intensity. This long, painful season of rejection holds a deeply comforting and essential lesson for every language learner. The absolute hardest part of any grand journey is not the final exam or the massive challenge itself. It is the quiet, exhausting waiting period where you work hard every day without seeing any visible progress. It is the moments when others doubt your potential, and you must choose to believe in your own path anyway. By the summer of 1492, the Spanish War finally ended, and Columbus received a sudden royal summons. Queen Isabella, driven by a desire for global influence, decided to take a massive gamble on the persistent explorer. She agreed to provide him with 3 strong wooden ships, a full crew, and the official title of admiral. After a long decade of constant rejection, the weaver's son was finally ready to face the terrifying sea of darkness. On the misty morning of August 3rd, 1492, 3 wooden ships slowly sailed out of Palos, Spain. The Niña, the Pinta, and the flagship Santa María carried a total crew of about 90 brave men. As the familiar European coastline slowly faded into the morning fog, a heavy silence fell over the sailors. They knew they were leaving behind the safety of the known world to sail into an ocean with no map. For the first few weeks, the small fleet enjoyed steady, favorable winds that pushed them quickly toward the west. But as days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into a full month, the crew's excitement turned into deep anxiety. They looked out in every direction, but all they could see was a completely flat line where the blue water met the sky. Never before had human beings sailed so far into the ocean without catching a single glimpse of solid ground. The sailors began to whisper among themselves, terrified that they would run out of food and fresh water. They feared that the steady wind pushing them west would make it completely impossible to ever sail back home. Columbus knew that the crew's rising panic was a far greater danger than any physical storm they might encounter. To keep them calm, he deliberately kept a secret, false record of their daily distance, making it look much shorter. This intense psychological battle on the open ocean reveals a beautiful truth about the process of learning. When you begin a major challenge, your initial excitement will eventually fade, leaving you in a vast middle ground. You might feel like you are sailing without a map, studying daily without seeing any signs of your destination. During these difficult moments, the ability to control your mind and manage your fear is what separates success from failure. By the beginning of October, the crew's patience had completely evaporated, and a dangerous mutiny was openly breathing. The desperate sailors threatened to throw Columbus overboard if he did not immediately turn the ships back towards Spain. Columbus stood tall on the deck of the Santa María, facing his angry crew with absolute calm and unshakable poise. He made a bold agreement. If they did not spot land within 3 days, he would give up his dream and return home. The next 48 hours on the ships were filled with the sharp, breathless tension that felt almost physical. Every single sailor kept their eyes glued to the horizon, desperately searching for any tiny sign of life. Suddenly, small clues began to appear in the dark water. A floating green branch and a small carved stick. These subtle signs whispered a beautiful message to the exhausted crew. Land was finally drawing near. At exactly 2 o'clock in the morning on October 12th, a sudden shout shattered the quiet night air. A lookout on the moving Pinta, named Rodrigo de Triana, pointed excitedly into the dim, moonlit distance. Through the dark mist, he saw the clear, distinct silhouette of a white sandy beach rising from the sea. The long, terrifying journey through the great sea of darkness was officially over. They had finally survived. As the bright morning sun rose, Columbus stepped off the small boat and onto the soft shore of an island. He fell to his knees, wept tears of pure gratitude, and planted the grand royal flag deep into the sand. He believed with absolute mathematical certainty that he had successfully reached the wealthy outer islands of Asia. In reality, he had done something far more historic. He had opened the gates to an entirely new world. For every intermediate language learner, this dramatic midnight discovery is a deeply moving and unforgettable lesson. Success often arrives at the exact moment when you feel the most exhausted and ready to completely give up. The long, quiet hours you spend studying in the dark will eventually lead to your own bright morning of discovery. You must hold on to your personal vision, stay alert during the storm, and keep sailing until you reach your shore. Columbus named the beautiful tropical island San Salvador and immediately began exploring its warm, pristine waters. He met the peaceful local people, who welcomed the strange visitors with immense curiosity and open arms. But the ambitious explorer was not looking for simple hospitality. His mind was entirely focused on finding gold. He packed up his gear, ordered his crew back onto the ships, and set sail to explore the deeper mysteries of the Caribbean. The sweet taste of initial discovery did not mean the heavy challenges of the voyage were completely over. On Christmas Eve, the ocean grew calm, and a tired crew member left a young boy to steer the flagship. The currents quietly pulled the heavy Santa María directly into a sharp, hidden coral reef, wrecking the vessel. With only 2 smaller ships left, Columbus could not bring all of his men back home across the Atlantic. He had to leave 39 sailors behind in a small, hasty fort built from the broken ship's timber. In January of 1493, the remaining 2 ships turned their wooden bows back toward the Kingdom of Spain. The return journey quickly turned into a terrifying nightmare as fierce winter storms battered the fragile vessels. Massive waves threatened to swallow the ships, and Columbus feared his great discovery would be lost forever. To protect his legacy, he frantically wrote the details of his discovery on a parchment roll. He wrapped it in a waxed cloth, sealed it inside a heavy wooden barrel, and threw it into the roaring sea. He hoped that if they drowned, the ocean currents would eventually wash his historic story onto a friendly shore. But against all mathematical odds, the battering storms finally passed, and the ships made it back safely. This final leg of the historic voyage teaches us a deep truth about the nature of true growth. Achieving a breakthrough or passing a difficult milestone does not mean your learning journey instantly becomes easy. New challenges, unexpected setbacks, and moments of deep frustration will still try to pull you backward. True mastery requires the resilience to protect your progress and keep going, even when the storms return. In March of 1493, Columbus proudly marched into the royal court to meet the Spanish monarchs. He presented exotic birds, strange plants, gold trinkets, and indigenous captives to the amazed, cheering crowd. The weaver's son, who was once openly mocked in the streets, was now showered with immense wealth and honor. He had successfully rewritten the map of the planet and proved that absolute persistence can change history. The safe return of Columbus did not just bring wealth to Spain. It triggered a massive chain reaction across the globe. News of the New World spread like wildfire through every major royal court and trading port in Europe. Suddenly, the old maps that had been trusted for centuries were recognized as completely incomplete and outdated. A frantic new age of exploration was born, as thousands of sailors prepared to cross the massive ocean. Other brilliant navigators, inspired by Columbus's success, quickly launched their own historic expeditions into the unknown. Amerigo Vespucci sailed west and was the first to explicitly state that these lands were a completely new continent. Because of his detailed letters and descriptions, the massive new landmass was eventually given the name America. A single, stubborn idea by one individual had permanently altered the geography and future of the entire human race. This explosive era of global exploration beautifully mirrors the modern digital revolution we are living through today. Just like those early sailors, we are navigating a vast digital landscape that connects people across every border. The internet has created a boundaryless world where knowledge, technology, and opportunities are instantly shared. And in this interconnected digital ocean, communication acts as the primary tool for survival and growth. When you take the bold step to master a global language like English, you are launching your own personal expedition. You are expanding your boundaries, discovering new resources, and preparing yourself to connect with the entire world. Every new word you memorize and every technical tutorial you understand is a step toward your personal freedom. You are no longer limited by your immediate surroundings. You become a global citizen with unlimited potential. The journey of discovery is rarely a straight, easy line, but the ultimate reward is always worth the struggle. The key is to keep your eyes focused on the distant horizon, trust your daily practice, and never turn back. Your own morning of discovery is waiting for you, just past the edge of your current doubts and hesitations. Stay consistent, Protect your unshakable focus and let your unique voice confidently echo across the global stage.
Building a life of global impact requires the exact same mindset as navigating an uncharted, deep ocean. You cannot build a magnificent future by standing on the safe shore and wishing for things to magically change. You must design a clear, intentional strategy, gather your raw materials, and execute your plan with daily discipline. Every great achievement in human history began as a small, quiet decision to step away from comfortable routines. Think of your current learning routine as the ultimate training ground for your upcoming international journey. The technical skills you study and the languages you practice are the strong pillars supporting your future fortress. It might feel like a slow, invisible process today, but you are quietly constructing the foundation of your freedom. When the perfect global opportunity finally arrives, your prepared mind will be ready to seize it instantly. The modern world does not care about where you started. It cares about where you are actively choosing to go. With a laptop, an internet connection, and an unshakable focus, you can bypass traditional boundaries completely. You can absorb knowledge from elite mentors, collaborate across borders, and share your unique vision worldwide. The digital ocean has leveled the playing field, making dedication and persistence the ultimate currencies of success. Never let the immediate scale of your long-term ambitions intimidate you or cause your hands to shake. A massive castle is not built in a single chaotic afternoon. It is laid down carefully, one single brick at a time. Focus entirely on winning your day, protecting your study hours, and maintaining your inner momentum. Small, consistent actions compounded over a year will create a transformation that will completely amaze you. So look out at the distant horizon with absolute confidence and a heart full of unstoppable courage. Trust the silent hours of hard work you are investing right now, knowing they will pay off beautifully. Keep your personal vision crystal clear, protect your daily habits, and let your journey unfold naturally. Your morning of total discovery is getting closer with every single intentional step you take today.
The greatest barrier holding most people back from achieving greatness is not a lack of talent or resources. It is the paralyzing fear of stepping into the dark unknown and risking a temporary, uncomfortable failure. We naturally crave safety, comfort, and predictable outcomes because they keep our fragile egos feeling secure. But comfort zones are incredibly deceptive spaces where great potential goes to quietly wither away and die. If Columbus had given in to the terrifying rumors of sea monsters and endless falling edges, he would have stayed home. He would have lived a quiet, ordinary life in Spain, entirely forgotten by the fast-moving pages of human history. He chose to accept the deep discomfort of uncertainty because his burning desire for discovery was vastly more powerful. He looked directly into the dark, foggy horizon and found the unshakable courage to order his ships forward anyway. When you are trying to master a challenging new skill, write complex code, or speak a completely foreign language, fear will show up. Your inner voice will whisper cruel doubts, telling you that you are not smart enough or ready enough to succeed. It will remind you of past mistakes, awkward stumbles, and the times your progress felt entirely stagnant. But those quiet, negative thoughts are not absolute facts. They are just temporary shadows created by your hesitation. Every time you choose to push forward despite the presence of fear, you actively shrink its power over your life. Mistakes are not tragic proof that you are failing. They are the honorable receipts of your active, dedicated effort. The only way to build flawless mechanical skills or natural fluency is to be completely willing to stumble a few times. Embrace the messy, imperfect phase of your growth, because that exact friction is where your true strength is forged. So, do not let the vast scale of your long-term dreams cause you to pull back into your comfortable shell. Take a deep, steady breath. Accept the uncertainty of the path ahead, and boldly take your next step. Trust the incredible preparation you have done. Hold your focus tight, and run directly toward your ultimate horizon. The final years of Christopher Columbus were marked by complex political struggles, fading health, and changing royal favors. Yet, the physical decline of an aging explorer could never diminish the historic spark he had struck across the world. He had permanently opened an invisible door between two vast hemispheres, altering the course of human history forever. His name became synonymous with the raw spirit of discovery, proving that one determined mind can move mountains. The story of the weaver's son who dared to challenge the edge of the world is a timeless blueprint for your life. It proves that your current origin, your humble background, and your lack of initial resources do not define your final destination. The ultimate limits of your life are not set by the walls of your room or the borders of your current town. They are defined entirely by the scale of your personal vision and the unshakable resilience of your daily actions. Take a moment to look back at the long, challenging path you have traveled in your own educational and personal journey. The complex technical concepts, the difficult grammar patterns, and the silent hours of practice have all built your strength. You have proven that you possess the patience to lay each individual brick of knowledge with care and precision. You are no longer a passive spectator standing safely on the shore. You are the active navigator of your own destiny. The modern digital ocean stands wide open before you today, filled with unlimited resources and global opportunities. Do not let temporary bugs, difficult challenges, or the quiet fears of the unknown cause your hands to shake on the wheel. Keep your head held high. Protect the exceptional daily routines you have built, and trust the architectural design of your future. Your unique voice has the absolute power to cross continents, break traditional boundaries, and leave a lasting impact. Go out onto the grand pitch of life, step completely out of your comfort zone, and play your absolute best game. The entire global landscape is waiting to see what your brilliant, creative mind will choose to build next. Stay humble, stay incredibly focused, and continue running directly toward the beautiful, endless horizon of your dreams. Your journey of true mastery is just beginning, and your brightest days are shining directly ahead of you.